What is your idea of a healthy relationship? Because that's really important,
The first
especially.
and
Go
the
ahead.
biggest thing is
If the
communication.
two of you have an argument, would you consider her feelings and opinion?
When you actually meet in person after such a long time of video chatting, did it seems a little weird or hard to get used to after you really didn't know each other physically?
Have you talked about how are you going to raise your children? Will you be raising them as a Catholic given that Mildred is a Catholic?
Or teacher? How do you see the future individually and collectively as a couple?
Hi Mara, I know we haven't talked much.
Yeah.
You raising any animals on your house in the house?
No, I'm not a pet lover. Even though I look like a pet, but
You knew Mildred from the time she was in Bohol, and you were taking the same class.
no. Mary Ann, I know Mildred like 2018. She's been here
Oh,
already before I meet my other half, and then she's the first girl that I really like and like a sister to me that we can relate lots of things to each other. So we really click on that because we're both not crazy a little bit, something like that.
Actually, not a little bit. It's crazy.
Yes. I know the answer for. I know you would say good answer for this, but I'm still gonna ask you. So, if the two of you have an argument, would you consider her feelings and opinion?
we haven't had an argument yet,
Yeah, in time comes.
and like we're I'm kind of puzzled by that, and she is too. And when we've looked back at the way that we've handled our disagreements, um, I think we're just doing that already. Like the last disagreement that we had was about whether or not we should get a lawyer or pay for visa services to process our current visa. I wanted to get one, but she was saying, Sayan,
Sayang, yeah.
Sayang, a waste.
and she was, and we went back and forth about it for a few days. We never yelled, we never screamed. I really wanted to do it that way, but then she convinced me otherwise. I listened to evidence that she presented and stuff like that. So I can't, like, on one side, I can't answer that question because we've never even come close to an argument. But then again, I'm answering the question because we haven't come close to an argument because we're doing that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
When you actually meet in person after such a long time of video chatting, did it seems a little weird or hard to get used to after you really didn't know each other physically?
first time that we met, we still couldn't touch.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
we send that video.
Um, so, and my mind was so worried about not violating protocol that
Uh-huh.
I was more like stay away and all the rest of the stuff. I was focusing more on that than actually enjoying it as much as I could. We had been dying to hold each other for so long that
Uh-huh.
every now and then when we were exchanging things, I snuck in a touch. Like I simply like held her hand an extra long time, and that felt like heaven. And then when we finally got out, I give her a hug for the first time without any filter, and I can't describe it. It was awesome. Then we get into the car, and we're just sitting there like holding hands and like hugging and so excited, like giggling. But our relationship had been so conversational for such a long time.
Well, that's good.
So when we got together, we actually didn't know how to put our faces together right. So it was just
Feels
like we did.
awkward. Is it awkward for you?
Well, it wasn't awkward. We just did it. We just did a little. I did a little quick kiss, like, and she did a little kiss back, and we just held, and then we just like increased the kisses every now and then. But yeah, it was just like, yeah, you know how when you're kissing someone for the first time, like you don't know if it's gonna be like this, you don't know if it's gonna be like this, you don't know if you're gonna be the one to turn right, you don't know if it's gonna if they like the deep kisses or they like the light kisses, you don't know. You got to find that out, and that was fun. That exploration took like just an hour of this and that and the other. She stabbed me with her tongue all the time. She liked little like.
Have you talked about how are you going to raise your children? Will you be raising them as a Catholic given that Mildred is a Catholic?
We talked about that a bit.
Okay.
One of the main things for me was that she can introduce them to religious concepts and the philosophies of those kind of things. But if they ask me, I'm going to tell them my truth. And I'm not going to be like, well, maybe this exists, maybe that exists. I'm just going to be like, no, I just don't believe that stuff. That's just not me. And I'm not going to be at odds with what they believe or what they don't believe. But if they start coming at me or us saying that, you got to be this way or be that way, I'm not going to change. It's not going to be, yeah. And I'm going to stay consistent in my message unless some weird thing happens and suddenly I start to believe in some other religion or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, the kids will be exposed to different things and they will make their own decision.
Oh yeah. Actually, it's not about religions. For me, it's how you raise them. We notice on the TV news, lots of Asian people being beat up by the local people. Do you feel that it's safe for Mildred where you live?
In the neighborhood where I live, I have not seen any Asian people.
Oh.
Now, there's a lot more Asian people outside, like going to stores and things like that, to encounter. And I know a good amount of Filipino immigrants and people that are here. And I've gotten her in touch with them. They've befriended her on Facebook and they're talking to her, and they're excited about her coming over here. So I wanted to make sure she had a community that she felt still connected to home with. But I don't have a good example in my neighborhood of an Asian person in this neighborhood to give an example of. There's some Mexican people down the way. They don't seem to be any problem. No one seems to be harassing them. So I feel comfortable in general with that.
You were like inspiring people, inspiring other couples too. What is your idea of a healthy relationship? Because that's really important.
The first
Especially-
and the
Go ahead.
biggest thing is communication.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I agree to that.
And many people reduce communication to simply being like saying what's going on in your day. But communication needs to be about saying what's going on in your heart.
True.
And many times our societies don't give us the room to explore what's in our heart, so we don't have practice. Like you might feel sad, but society has said that you can't feel sad about this, or if you're sad, you have to make it look happy, or you have to present your sadness in a way that it can be solved. Like, I'm sad, but this is the way it can be fixed. Like, no, communication is sometimes just like, I'm sad, and just be sad. And also the communication on the other side needs to be things like, I recognize your sadness. Sometimes you just have to be like, I hear your sadness, I recognize your sadness, I acknowledge your sadness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like that part of the communication, but also the communication of just like, you're leaving clothes on the floor, you need to clean it up,
Mhm.
kind of thing. Or bills are due, we don't have money. let's make a plan. Um, the very specific, so being able to communicate about a broad thing. That's the first important thing, but one that's very close to it again is being emotionally present. The second part is about being emotionally available, because you can be in a relationship that's just strictly functional, that you're just like, hey, pay the bills, stay in the house, take care of stuff, and it's a business arrangement, and that can work for some people. But emotions, in my world, emotions are how we know we exist, like the human experience, like your sadness, your happiness, your joy, your surprise, and all the rest of that stuff. That's what makes life worth living. And so being in a relationship where you feel safe being emotional is important and validating. And so making sure the communication is there, making sure your emotions are available and true. And then finally, the last part is making sure that you are free. So those are the three things: communication, being free to be emotional, and being free to the point where you know you choose to stay because you like it, because it's worth it.
That's true.
It's good.
Yeah, because it's on your own happiness that you want to stay with a person. Yeah.
I'm happy.
We're so happy.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
For future. How do you see the future individually and collectively as a couple?
So individually, so one of the things that we were sure to talk about early on, like even just on Cherry Blossoms, was I was asking her who she would be if she wasn't in a relationship. Like, what would she want to do? And she wants to own her own business, find some, manage that kind of thing and do all that. So that's like in our relationship, I want to give her that opportunity to get that skill set and have that opportunity to do so. And so, that's why I got her the computer. That's why I got her the training and all the rest of that stuff, because I don't want her to come over here and just have nothing, like just completely without it. Like, she sacrificed her dreams. I'm older, and the expectation is that I will be gone first at some point. And what good would it be for me to have a wife that can't take care of herself or her kids if I'm not there?
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, it's a sad statement, but that's part of the realization. And she is a woman who wants to take care of herself. She's a woman who wants to be able to do that. And I will make sure that she has that ability the best that I can. So that's the future that I know she wants. My future, what I want, it's just the family thing, the whole family stuff, be with the most wonderful person in the world and raise little ones, and enjoy the rest of my life. I've done a lot of work. I've done all these things. If I wasn't going to have family, I would also focus on and I realized that looking for love was more important to me, looking for that relationship. So that's what I put my resources into, and getting all that together. And that's what I found. I made the right choice. I had no problem with that. But there still is that thing. I would like to still write music, make board games, write books, and also do paintings, animation, all the rest of those things. But hopefully I'll get to share that and do that with a family, and maybe empower and enable our child or children to have that freedom of that choice as well, and have that experience. If I was on that other journey where I was making that business right now, I would not be as happy. There's no way I'd be as happy as I am right now.
Sex or chocolate?
Lights off or lights on?